Today we're going to show you how to access the control board on the skateboard. So to do this we need to locate the mounting holes for the control board. It has 6 screws holding it in place, 3 on each side. The first thing we're going to do is measure 15.5 centimeters from the end of the unit, and then we're going to get our rough mark and we're going to push down on the grip tape until we can feel an indent. This is where the screw is located. Now we're going to put a small hole in the grip tape to access the Phillips head screw. Then we come to the other side of the unit, which is roughly 90 millimeters away, 9 centimeters. We can feel there's an indent, so we'll make another little hole to access our retaining screw. So the first 2 holes are now located. Now we're going to measure from the first hole up. We're going to measure 80 millimeters, 8 centimeters. I'll push down, I can feel another indent there, which confirms the screws below. And we repeat the process. We put a little hole in the grip tape so we can access the screw. And then we repeat the process on the other side, 8 centimeters or 80 millimeters. We push down, we can feel that there's another screw here. Then we need to locate 2 more. This is roughly 14 centimeters from the middle holes to the end. And push down, I can feel the indent. Just expose that screw head. We measure the same on the other side, 140 millimeters or 14 centimeters. Now we have exposed the screws, we'll proceed to undo them. Now that we've exposed all the screws, we can remove them from the deck. They are all the same length. We put them aside, and now the control box will come away from the unit. This will give us access to the battery, the on-off switch and the motor connections. Now to replace your battery, it is simply double-sided tape to the bottom of the container, so you'll need to use a little bit of force to get it to pop off. Just be gentle, you don't want to damage the case or the battery. The double-sided tape's come off. Now we can see our battery connections. We can disconnect them, which will give us our battery free and now ready to install the new battery. We just reverse the process, push the battery down and into location, and connect the wires. Now we can inspect our on-off switch. In case the unit will no longer turn on, sometimes one of these wires on the on-off switch can be disconnected. Give them a slight pull. If they stay connected to the switch, they're fine. If they pull off the end of the switch, you'll need to expose the end of the terminal and reconnect the wire. This can be done with solder for a permanent joint. These 2 wires are fine on this model. We can see it turns on. So in the event that your unit will not turn on, you'll need to drop your control compartment off the skateboard and then inspect the 2 wires behind the on-off switch. Ensure these are solidly connected for the unit to turn on. Now while we have the panel off, we can look at replacing the motor. Now this is done by disconnecting the colour-coded push-in terminals. I'll just disconnect the battery on it. And we can remove these terminals. They will be rather tight to do. You may need to use a pair of long nose pliers just to get a bit of a twist on it, and then they'll uncouple. Now 3 main wires are disconnected. We now have to disconnect the motor from the control panel. This can have a little bit of glue on the connection that may need to be removed, and then the wire will disconnect. We'll then put our control board off to the side, turn the skateboard upside down, and proceed to remove the 4 Allen key screws holding the motor in position. I'll leave the bottom 2 screws loosely attached and remove the top 2 screws. Now our motor will be able to come out of its position and can be removed from the unit. To reinstall the motor, it has square sides. We make sure that lines up on the truck. Then we slide it all the way back into position. We can remount the motor using the retaining plate and the 4 screws. Now that the motor's back in position, we'll make sure it is completely tight. If it's not tight, the motor will work its way back out of the truck. So we need to make sure this is extremely tight. Now we are ready to reconnect the control board. First things we'll do is plug in the control wire. And then we'll connect the colour-coded wires. Yellow to yellow, green to green, blue to blue. Once this is connected, make sure all the rubber sleeves are pushed down so no terminals are exposed, and we can reconnect our battery. Just tuck all the wires away nice and neat. Now we can place the control board back on, but we ensure the retaining lug is in position for the motor. Now I hold it in place while I install the first screw. You'll need to make sure this is lined up correctly. Now that that's back in place, you've checked your wiring on your on-off switch. The unit is turning off and on. We've replaced the battery and we've also replaced the motor on the unit. Your skateboard is now 100% complete and ready to use.